front there. He won yesterday in the qualifying lap. He's the Swiss national champion, and he's known as a bit of an evil descender.
Let's go back down to the start line. This is the start now of the women. 22 women riders on the start. They didn't have to qualify, so yesterday 4 of them in fact chose to ride the course, but it wasn't necessary. They wanted to get the feel of it. And off they go. So the 22 women now heading off. They covered 2 laps of the circuit, just over 40 kilometres. Now let's join the men, and this is where the slog really begins. This is a vicious course, and this is the part they all talk about when they come up to Aviemore. This is the basement where they start the long climb now up Ord Barn. All out of the saddle, and Tim Gould has gone to the front. So Tim Gould has moved smoothly up from 4th place, anxious to see the narrow climb here. I don't think, Karen, he'll manage to ride all the way to the top, but he's going to give it a good go.
Yes, and he'll probably do quite well as far as he does get. He is the world hill climb champion. He got that in Durango. He's off the bike, as you said.
On cue, but Tim Gould will love this course today, providing he has no problems. That bike, although it has thick tyres, is quite light. It's made of light alloys, and Tim Gould is thrown it on his back there as if it weighed nothing at all, but it has cost him a lot of money, around £2,000. And this is Philippe Perakis, who was in the lead. He's now fallen back a little bit. Unlucky number 13 for some, and he's now having to drop back into 2nd place. Now, a bit further down Ord Barn, the women have now started their climb. And that's Stiefel. And this is Caroline Alexander. She looked as though she just locked up in mud there. She had to get off, and she's running very close. She's up into 2nd place now. Now, this is the descent. It's full of rocks, as you can see. The riders are obliged, of course, to stay to the paths here, and this is the situation. Gould leading Parakis by 25 seconds at the moment. Closer in 3rd place. Baker with him. Then Aubrey 5 seconds further back, and he's riding along with Barry Clark. Now, we're heading now down towards the deer farm. Very tricky descent, as you can see, very exposed too. The riders should be thankful that there's no snow or rain sweeping across these moors today. Here's the deer farm, and here is the leader. 25 seconds, Tim Gould is leading, and no sign now of Perakis. So it looks as though Philippe has had a problem. Just look at the angle of the descent here. Very, very death-defying indeed, Karen.
Yes, it is, and maybe Philippe did take that straight line down the mountain and did have problems, as you said. He could very well have crashed.
Well, he's gone, because here we have now Mike Closer coming up. He'll be in 2nd place, where we'll find out what's happened to Philippe Parakis, but he certainly dropped away from our cameras at the moment on the descent. And let's join the women again. This is Gooselik Farm, and the leader here is still Stiefel, and she has led really since the off.
Yes, she has.
Oh, and she's off, Karen.
Yes. She'll be back up and straight back on the bike. She is a very experienced mountain biker, and over the winter she tells me she was putting in a lot of endurance work, so she should be able to cope with this course quite well.
Let's go up to the leader again, to the cheers, Tim Gould, and in for his 2nd cold splash here. And this looks to me as though it's deeper than ever, Karen.
Yes, I think the tide must be coming in. But look at Tim, he's really going for it. He still has a very, very healthy lead. I think it's 1:25 on David Baker.
Well, Gould has done so much on the mud over the years. I think if he had to swim with his bike, he would. This is 4th place to Robert Aubry, who's still riding extremely well. He's on his own now, so Closer is just in front of him, and Baker is clearly now in 2nd place. He's in the splash.
He looks like he's enjoying the water a little bit more than Tim was. He's going through very well there.
Let's go down to the finish. The arrival of Stiefel as the winner here. And I wonder what she found as the toughest part of the course.
The toughest? Oh, the river crossing for me.
And look at the saddle here, Karen, on Mike Closer's bike. He looks as though he may well have had a problem.
Yes, it is very loose. Ironically, that's the problem that Mike Kluger had last year.
And David Baker, the man who shed himself of Mike Closer, and is now into the river for the last time as well. At least you know this is the last time through the cold waters, and once you're into the woods, you're heading towards the finishing line. That must be a great feeling, especially today.
Yes, especially after this course and in these conditions. It has been very cold and windy.
Tim Gould still going, well, appears to me as though he's going as strong as he was in the very first lap. Closer, he's doing a little bit of a ballet dance through here.
Yes, he does go quite daintily through the water, Mike, I must admit, but he certainly isn't a dainty rider.
He's certainly an accomplished one, the man from Vale in the Rockies. And let's go down to the finishing line now for the arrival of Tim Gould. How life changes 1 year on. Last year he was watching from the finishing line after mechanical trouble. This year he's home and well in the lead by himself. 3 hours 24 minutes for Tim Gould. This is Mike Closer. Still looks to be shifting around on that loose saddle, but Mike is in third place, and the rider who will finish second, the former teammate of Tim Gould, David Baker.
Congratulations to David Baker.
Now, World Sport News, coverage of both the big and the bizarre happenings of the week. We start off in Neubrandenburg in Germany, the hometown of Katrina Krabb, the former East German star and the double European sprint champion. Working her way back to peak fitness, and with her eyes no doubt on the World Championships in Tokyo, she met the African record holder Mary Onyali of Nigeria in a 100-metre sprint. And a win for Onyali, breaking her own African record with a time of 11.07. Another former East German star, Heike Dreschler, competed in the long jump. The former world record holder and joint leader of the world rankings this year with 7 metres 24, Dreschler notched up another win in preparation for next week's European Cup. But now to Le Mans in France, venue, of course, of the most famous and daunting sports car race of them all, the one and only Le Mans 24 Hours. Favourites for this classic race were the Jaguar and Mercedes cars, which have battled it out for the title over the last 2 years. The Silver Arrows of the Mercedes V8s dominated the early stages with Jean-Louis Schlesser, that's him there in car number 1, Alain Ferté and Jochen Mass occupying the first 3 places. But then Jonathan Palmer in Mercedes number 32 ran over some track debris and had to pull out. And another Mercedes lost time with a damaged gearbox. The world champion Schlesser, though, was still heading for what seemed to be certain victory when a water pump failed. And suddenly, he too was out of contention. The Jaguars were having trouble with their fuel consumption, and the little-known red and green Mazda of Johnny Herbert swept into the lead with less than 4 hours to go. That's Theo Fabi in the number 34 Jaguar going through the chicanes. It was an historic victory for Mazda, the first ever Japanese win at Le Mans. 362 laps completed. That's an incredible 4,920 kilometres. But it was dearly bought by Johnny Herbert. He collapsed after the race and had to be given medical treatment, suffering from dehydration. And he didn't make it to the winner's rostrum with the other 2 Mazda drivers, Volker Weidler and Bertrand Gachot. Whatever the claims of current motor racing champions, from Johnny Herbert to Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost, the man whose fame outshines them all celebrated his 80th birthday last Friday. Juan Manuel Fangio, who was known simply as the Maestro, won 24 Grand Prix and was the world drivers' champion no less than 5 times, an all-time record. He left school at the age of 11 and worked as a mechanic's assistant before taking up driving. He won the world title in 1951 and then retained it from 1954 to 57. He retired at the age of 47, saying racing teams were ignoring drivers' safety in their quest for yet more speed. Since leaving competition, Fangio worked with Mercedes-Benz, and following Friday's celebrations, a 105-year-old Mercedes was presented to him as a birthday gift. As honorary president of the company, Fangio retains his links with motorsport, and even at 80, he still has the desire to sit behind the steering wheel. Recently, he turned out for a drive with his former rival, Sterling Moss, who's just written a book about him. Now, how's this for sheer guts? At the American Gymnastics Championships, former Olympian Trent Dimas made a tragic error on the vault, missing the apparatus for a painful crash, but he came straight back.
Trent Dimas has decided to vault again.
Beyond the physical problems, what about the mental? What's he thinking about? Holy!
He nailed it! He nailed it, and the crowd loves it. I don't believe it.
9.8 for that vault. That's what true competitors are made of. Well, finally, Wimbledon Fortnight is underway, and the man who often has the umpires shouting into the microphone has been doing a bit of shouting into the mic himself.
I'm spending my money on other women. I'm just spending it on nobody else. I called your mother about 3 or 4 nights ago.
Well, he calls it singing, really. Yes, John McEnroe has teamed up with Pat Cash and Roger Daltrey of The Who in a rock concert in aid of the Armenia Trust.
He said, son, don't call here anymore.
Cash and McEnroe both have a passion for the guitar, but judging from Roger Daltrey's laugh there, it's just as well they play tennis for a living. Coming next week on World Sports Special, the race the horse world is waiting for, the Irish Derby, the showdown between the French and Epsom Derby champions. But now our computer file quiz. Last week it was snooker. Who is this and what record does he hold? Well, there he is, Stephen Hendry. And his record, he became the youngest ever world champion, winning the title last year when he was just 21 years old. Now this week it's soccer. Who is this? He has made the most appearances in the World Cup finals. The answer to that and more action, profiles and news in next week's World Sports Special.
Thrills of a different kind when someone's out to rob the Flying Scot in our afternoon movie, steaming in next here on Central.
Sunday at 1:10 on ITV. As the World Cup countdown continues, the Pumas begin their hunt for glory. Argentina, capable of giving any team a shock as England discovered on their last tour, take on the current world champions, New Zealand. Exclusive coverage of the first of two international rugby union tests. Argentina versus New Zealand, Sunday at 1:10 on ITV.
Don't be blue. To see the funny side of life, just switch on to Central's Blues Busters. Vintage comedy classics.
I'm going to put my foot down.
I'm a grave digger.
What a load of rubbish.
Yeah, I'm happier burying Southerners.
Sunday night film fun on Central. Blues Busters.
And busting the blues this week, Reg Varney heads the crew in Mutiny on the Buses. So it's all aboard and hold very tight, please, tomorrow night at 11:05.
Learn, Harry Song.
Central England Ford dealers?
I was wondering what part exchange deals you're offering.
At the moment, I can give you up to £1,000 above the normal trade value of any D, E, F or G registration car.
You think?
Yeah.
It's £1,000.
Central England Ford dealers. Quality people, quality products.
I'm just over the rim now, to the west, Gustav Holm, but in front of me, the spectacular Mount Forel glacier. Since the Ice Age, this mighty glacier has gouged its unstoppable path to the Straits of Denmark, where it breaks off into the sea to form massive Carlsbergs.
Cars.
Sorry.
Are the footprints a problem?
Just wait at the bottom, there's a good chap.
I feel a complete amateur.
No, honestly, you mustn't.
Chimera. What is it? And how has it escaped? The authorities are determined no one will ever find out.
Well, you take a look at the cage, and if you're asking me, it was open from the inside.
It's best you keep out of the way just for now.
Now, stand by to vacate the area with a minimum of fuss.
You have got something to hide here.
A powerful new thriller. Starting Sunday at 9:05 on Central, Chimera. Watch out.
Now on Central, it's crime time on the Flying Scot.
Thank you.